Hi
Yeah.
guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. Delighted to welcome Sean back onto the channel. Happy September, Sean.
Yeah, happy September. Yeah, hopefully it's better than August
Yeah,
as far as results
well,
go.
it hasn't had a good start, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the weather out there is
Yeah.
poxy, but we'll get into the football before we start depressing people about the weather.
Mm.
At Oriel Park, it finished Dundalk nil, Shelbourne 1 on Friday. We obviously had bottom against top, an early goal from Aidan O'Brien to give Shelbourne all 3 points. The second goal for the club is first in the league. And apparently, he's the first player with an Ireland cap to score a league goal for Shelbourne since Glenn Crow's final League of Ireland goal for Shells on the 17th of November 2006 against Bowes. Just throw that out there. But it was a very good win for Shells, Sean. I watched this game on TV actually. It was a really good win. I thought they grinded out the result. I thought they were a better side in the
Mm.
first half, or most of it, to be fair. The goal they did score is a little bit of a mess from Dundalk, to be honest. I'm not sure what
Mm.
Goddard is doing, really. He kind of, I don't know what he's doing, really. I don't know what he was thinking there exactly, but he plays it out. And Aidan O'Brien obviously, nips in and he's alert and gives Shells the lead. Into the second half, though, I did think from Dundalk's point of view, they did put Shelbourne under pressure, but I think there was a two-fold situation here. I think Shelbourne sat back or tried to sit back a little too early in the half, and
Mm.
they could have got caught. I mean, Ryan O'Kane has a good effort that comes off the post, and there was another effort laid on that was cleared off the line, wasn't there? So
Mm.
Shells, look, it ends their poor run in the league of four games without a win in the league, and gives them a very
Mm.
important 3 points, particularly with the Derry result. Um, but Dundalk, I know there was a couple of boos at the final whistle, but I don't think it was very serious. In fairness, I thought they did put in a shift in the game and could have nicked the
Mm.
draw at the end. And some might say maybe they deserved the draw at the end. But for me, in general, um, they lack a bit of punch in front of goal, don't they, when they
Mm.
are on top now? The effort was there, but Shells will feel like, look, they won ugly. And it puts them back to the top of the table, which, they weren't off the top for long, were they?
No. Yeah, I mean, the weekend went about as well as it could have gone. Damien
Mhm.
Duff seems to think that. Maybe he thought that a bit too much, judging by the videos that are going around on social media today of him. But he,
By the
yeah,
way, just to take a video of a fella, just you know what I mean. I mean, he's entitled to a
yeah.
few pints, the poor lad, isn't he? He's
I
not doing
suppose,
any
yeah. Look,
harm.
I suppose he is, but when you're a kind of I suppose a provocative personality as he is, this is the kind of thing you open yourself up to. But yeah, I thought they did deserve the win. I think, yeah, exactly as you said, that Dundalk did put in a lot of effort. They had a lot of possession, particularly in the second half. I thought they might score, but yeah, really lacking punch in front of goal. And unfortunately for them, I think that could be the difference come the final day. I mean, talk about Drogheda in a bit, and I mean, okay, Dundalk are still in ninth place, so it's not as bad as it could have gone for them.
Mm.
But the way it is now, yeah, like that it's seriously worrying that you can have that amount of possession and not score because with the way the game was going, I thought they could have nicked the draw, but I ultimately don't think they deserved it because they just didn't work. They didn't work errands enough in the Shelbourne goal for all the possession they had.
Mm. It
I
was
mean,
more
there was
late
one.
on, wasn't it? Those chances were very late on, and they
It was
could have.
very late on,
They were very
and
late on. Like, yeah.
and I thought even then they got caught on the break a few times by Shells. Maybe they could have done a bit better. Shells made it 2-0, something like
Do you know
that.
what? I thought Robbie Benson came on. He seemed to lose the ball every time he had the ball for Dundalk, didn't he?
He's not the same player he was. I think it's kind of sad. You have players like I mean, to be fair, Daryl Horgan did some stuff, but he was shooting from the edge of the box a lot, and it wasn't on.
I think
Like
Owen Kenny though struggled up front a little bit with the bits and bobs of centre forward
mm,
play, didn't he?
he did.
He needed to clean up his game a little bit. I think
Mm,
he just like the ball was kind of bouncing off him at times, maybe a
yeah.
poor first touch, layoffs
Mm,
short and things like that. Like you know what I mean? And I seen
mm,
Horgan was trying to kind of coach him through that. Like I know he's
yeah.
young, but I think
Mm,
that was a bit of an issue
mm,
for them in the second half when they were trying to get
mm.
forward. I felt.
Yeah, he got booked as well for I think if there was a really bad dive in the box and he got booked for it and it's rightly so. But yeah, I think the worrying thing for Dundalk now is you kind of if they're finishing like say sixth or seventh and like the season is over, you can have Owen Kenny doing that and learning the game.
Mm.
But they need to stay up. So like it's like people aren't coming to Oriel Park to watch someone learn how to do a job. they're really trying to fight to stay up. And yeah, it's very worrying. I thought they were uh, definitely worse than either of the other two sides who are in contention for relegation, and
They've scored 19
particularly up
goals,
front.
Sean. 19 goals in
Yeah,
28 games. I
it's the
can't
worst in the
see
league. Mm.
I can't see that really changing in terms of they're not going to get a glut of goals, so they're going to rely on
Mm.
keeping it tight in the back. That's their only hope.
Yeah, but I mean the trouble with that then is you give away a stupid goal like they did on Friday, and after 5 minutes, and all of a sudden you're chasing the game.
Mm.
So I don't know if they are they even capable of that.
Mm. There's a feeling though, like watching it from Shell's point of view though, and look, they got the result. It didn't matter, just get the result, and particularly with the Derry result, everything was fine.
Mm.
But I felt like they could have pushed and got a second goal. I don't mean go all out attack,
Yeah.
but I thought they were good enough to
Mm.
actually make it a little bit more comfortable
Mm.
for themselves as well.
Mm.
Because I don't think it was a case of Dundalk forcing them back. I genuinely feel it was a case of Shelbourne dropping back slightly, like, and then the more the half went on, they dropped back more and more, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. And as I said, like they caught Dundalk on the break a few times, and I thought they were very casual going forward. I thought if they were really going for it, they
Mm.
could have added a second or even a third. But yeah, I thought yeah, it was from a Shell's perspective, I suppose that is concerning because look, you got the 3 points at this stage of the season. You can win ugly. It doesn't really matter. But I think as far as like getting consistency in play going, you don't. It's a bad habit to encourage because you might get away with it against Dundalk.
Yeah.
There's other teams you mightn't get away with it against.
No, that's true. No, I'm smiling
Mm,
there because we get on to the next game. Galway United, of course,
mm,
beat Derry City the same night, 1-0. That man,
mm,
that big man, I should say, 6'5", Hickey with the
mm,
goal on 76 minutes for Galway United. And
mm.
Derry City, maybe our team, Sean, that struggle to win ugly, if I'm honest with you. When
Mm.
they're playing really,
Yeah.
really well and flying, they look
Mm,
good. But
mm.
this was another one where you're kind of going from their point of view, when are they going to kick on? They're obviously 3 points behind
Yeah.
Shells. Shells have an opportunity to go 4 or 6 points ahead of them the following Friday,
Mm.
obviously against Bohemians. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange one with Derry City.
Mm.
I mean, they had a couple of chances in the game, of course. Hooban had a chance which was cleared off the line, and there are other bits
Mm.
and bobs. Mullen misses a chance, and there's a feeling when I watch Derry at times that the handbrake is on a little bit. You've got the likes of
Mm.
Duffy, Mullen, who often comes on for Hooban,
Mm.
and they're not scoring goals lately. These attacking players, and I feel at times they're a bit too deep.
Mm.
And when they're
Yeah.
trying to attack, Duffy should be doing most of his work in around in
Mm.
around the box. Basically, Hooban shouldn't have to drop onto the halfway line to receive the ball too often either. From their point of view, I think it's a big, big blow, and
Mm.
just wonder, like, when are they? Can they take advantage of any
Mm.
slips from
Mm.
Shells, or maybe lack of form in general from Shells? And after just going top from their point of view, before we talk about Galway, this was a very disappointing result, wasn't it?
Mm. You talk about, and even like with the way this season is shaping up, and the final game being in the Brandywell, all Derry have to do really is be within 3 points of Shelbourne heading into the final day of the season. So they've got that incentive. And to be fair to them, they played well in flashes against Galway and opened them up a few times and just didn't take advantage.
Mm.
But yeah, they really do struggle to win ugly. It's I thought that they might have turned a corner last week
Mm.
because they got out of the RLC with a win, and it didn't look
Mm.
certain, but it was a win. It was an important 3 points, and it put them top of the table. But it's coming back again. I mean, the mistake for the goal was awful. It was comedic stuff really, and you just knew when Galway got that goal that Derry. It's happened so many times before that they just weren't going to be able to open them up. Like it was just
Mm.
like it's like a mental block or something
It's almost like you feel
that
like
that
Derry would have
prevents them
had
from
to
doing
go
it.
in front, isn't it, to win the game? But like
Yeah,
that kind of like,
yeah. I mean, partially because of the opposition, because Galway defends so well, but also because of the way Derry play and the way that they tend to handle these games when they go behind. It's like I can't think of too many times that this Derry team has successfully come from behind to win a game. And yeah, unfortunately, it happened again tonight. They put on Colin Whelan towards the end, and unfortunately, yeah, he didn't look like he was up to it either, unfortunately. So maybe that could be the case of you have an 11 players who are uh, running out of steam, maybe.
I think Dummigan's a big loss to him as well. I think he's gone till the end of the season, isn't he? Too, according
Yeah.
to the manager, anyway. So,
Mm.
he's a big loss. He's a bit of an unsung hero a little bit for them as well. But as far as
Mm.
Galway are concerned, what a fantastic win for Galway United. On the back of
Mm.
drawing in Tala where they could have won, that put them actually at the time up to third and now fourth,
Yeah.
because they do have a game in hand. It's mad to think that they really are in the mix for European place, despite scoring 24 goals in 28 games. And
Mm.
goal from Patrick Hickey, like it was a real opportunist, to be fair.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
think the mistake, it was a mistake from Derry. Obviously, Mar drops it, but I think that's a drop from a miscommunication between him and maybe McElhenney. He kind of runs into
Yeah.
him. So I don't know
Yeah.
if anyone shouted there or what, but there's a
Mm.
It's not like Mar literally drops it. It is a mistake. He
Yeah.
runs
No.
into
Yeah.
the
He
player.
yeah. Mm.
So who's not communicating as to what's going on there? But Hickey's on
Yeah.
hand to bury
Mm.
it, and
Yeah.
fair play to him. And it's a
Mm.
huge win to for Galway, and I don't think they're going away from this European
No.
race. I
Oh
think they're going
no.
to be there at least close to the end.
Mm. Well, they have been, I think, over the course of the season, they have been the most consistent team. I mean, I've spoken to some Galway fans and say like that the style of play at times is unwatchable, basically. But you know what you're going to get, basically, and that has good connotations as well, because Galway aren't going to go out and like get battered 4-0 or like be on the back foot for the whole game
There's also a
against anybody.
realization that they probably can't play in the way that some of the other teams play with the players they have, and that's actually not an insult. That's actually quite the opposite.
No,
It's a compliment. You know
no.
what I mean?
But that's by intention. It's not like Caulfield Horgan Hart. They've been building this squad, and they know the way they want to play it. I mean, it works. You
Mm.
can't deny it. They're fourth place. It works.
Mm.
So and as long as it keeps working for them, they're going to keep doing it. So you really can't knock their fourth place. Probably will be third place. I think they'll have a good chance in their game. I think it's against Rovers actually. Their game at hand is.
Mm.
Could be wrong about that, but
Mm.
I'd fancy them to get a result and push into third when they have the same amount of games played as everybody else.
Yeah, it's amazing. Fair play to Galway United, though. Now at the RC, it's going to say at the showgrounds. You won't like this one, of course. They finished Sligo Rovers 2, Waterford
Mm.
FC
Oh.
0. Warwood in 18 minutes, and Simon Power, who I thought was brilliant in this game, on 72 minutes. And
Mm.
it was I think me and JP actually called the Sligo would win. We just had this feeling that after the terrible result last week, that they were
Mm.
going to be really a wounded animal coming into this game. And to be honest with you, they played like one. I thought they played really well in the game. Waterford
Mm.
struggled with them. Patterson did have an early chance for Waterford where he should have actually put them ahead in the game, to be fair.
Mm.
But after that, I think for the first 20 minutes ish, Sligo created a lot of opportunities, didn't they? Chapman
Mm.
had some good chances that were spurned. Warwick gives them the lead, obviously, on 18. Second half, Power on 72. And to be honest with you, from my point of view, watching it, I felt 2-0 was like Sligo Rovers could have won by more, if I'm honest with you. I
Mm.
felt over the course of the game, and Waterford really struggled to get a hold of them, and they would have known going across to Sligo that there's no way they would have went to Sligo underestimating this. They would have, I think,
No.
Pete Long as well would have known that
Mm.
he would have been worried, actually, the fact that they
Mm.
lost 7-0 last week. He
Mm.
would have been more worried at that than if they won nearly 7-0, that kind of way. It's one of them. But from Sligo Rovers' point of view, I'll get you to talk about Waterford in a second, but from Sligo Rovers' point of view, that's how you respond. I mean, you lose a game
Mm.
like they did the week before, they come out against a good side like Waterford, and for the most part, I would say dominated the game. Did have a little spells Waterford themselves, but for the most part, created chances, scored 2 goals, 3 points, back up to third in the league. Nothing to worry about. I'll talk about Nando in a few minutes, but I'll let you talk about
Mm.
Waterford's performance.
Yeah, well, I think I just echo what Matt Lawler said in the post match interview, that he was really apologetic to the traveling fans who went up. I don't haven't had a lot of chances to sort of admonish the team over the course of the season, because it has been mostly good. But on Saturday night, it was a shameful performance. I thought Lewis Jones probably kept the score down with a few important saves, because from like starting from the back, I mean, even it looked like a lot of the players were frightened. Talked about Simon Power. I think Ellis Chapman as well ran the game for Sligo. In midfield was really where it was won, because our midfielders. I mean, I remember several times over the course of the game, our centre backs would get the ball then, and the midfielders would just disappear. It's like they didn't want the ball; they were afraid. that could be down to Sligo's intensity, but like you have to expect that this is the race for Europe. You've got to want it more,
Mm.
and I don't think we showed any desire really in this game. Going forward as well, Patterson had the chance at the start, and he also had a chance in the second half where
Mm.
he fired just past the post.
Yeah.
Thought he might have scored there, but other than that, I don't think there was no chance where I thought we were going to score
Mm.
or where we even looked like scoring. It was really bizarre and very disappointing. I mean, we scored once in the last 6 games in the league, or scored in one of the last 6 games of the league, and that was the game away to Bows. We scored 3 goals.
That's what they only win in 6, I think,
But
as
I
well, isn't it?
mean, it's really, I mean, when you talk about like being, you're going in the space of a couple of weeks where maybe we're having an outside chance at the title to,
Mm.
are we even going to get into Europe? I mean, it's not good enough.
What's
It's
the
really not
issue at
good
the
enough.
moment, Sean? Do you think, in a sense, is in other ways this happens sometimes? Is it a
Mm.
bit of a leveling off? Do you think a little bit, like where they kind of doing too?
No,
I know you can look at Galway and that as well because they're,
no,
but where they kind of
yeah.
doing too
Mm.
well as such,
Mm.
and now they're leveling off a bit. Do you think possibly that's it, or what do you think is the issue?
No, uh, no, I think the summer window is the issue. And two players, Kyle White and Sam Bellis, who I haven't seen. Shane Flynn, I was excited about, but he's injured. I mean, we've seen him once, and that was the game against Cockles Celtic. What can you really take from that?
Mm.
Sam Glenfield is the only player who's added something to the team. But like, and then there
Asamoah
was the Barry Bagley thing.
made a massive impact as well, didn't he?
Hmm. Well, he's a big loss, yeah,
Mm.
and like we haven't really replaced him. I mean, I think Shane Flynn is the replacement, but like I don't know that because we haven't seen him. So I'm really confused by what the thinking was going into the summer window. Surely they had to have a look at this and think that we had a real chance of pushing on, and that we're going to need reinforcements. Because another thing as well is like we were relying on Pajaman, who's been very good for us this season, but he's 36 years old and he's played nearly every minute of every game,
Mm.
and he looked tired out there on Saturday. You have to have somebody on the bench who is like. I mean, the drop off when you go from him to the bench is just astronomical, really.
Yeah, interesting that Nando Benaker's left Sligo Rovers, which is a bit of a blow in my opinion. He when he was out, they actually went through their worst spell. Coincidence or not, they did. You know what I mean? But it looks like he's on his way back to Auckland and New Zealand. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a blow to Sligo Rovers, isn't it? To be fair.
So yeah, you don't like to lose international players when you're in the League of Ireland, especially Pinecker playing for New Zealand and all that. But they've been playing well without him. So I think you have to, whenever you're playing well, you trust the players who are out on the pitch. And if he wasn't happy with that situation, the only thing you can do is let him go, free up his spot in the squad for maybe somebody else. So yeah, I mean, look, it is a loss, but I don't know how much it's going to affect Sligo and the run in. They'll probably look to get in a replacement in January.
Mm. Now on Sunday, it finished Bohemians 2, Shamrock Rovers 1 in the Dublin Derby, and it's Bows' first win in 15, 16 games. I've lost count at this point. 16 games, I think, in the league.
Mm.
Absolutely massive win for Bows here. Ferrugia gave Shamrock Rovers the lead in 15 minutes, Tierney in 24. Lee Grace got sent off in the second half, and then Piszek scored the winner in 85. Piszek has scored 2 goals for Bohemians, by the way, both against Shamrock Rovers, incidentally.
Yeah.
But this was a game where, by the way, just go try the FAI TV highlights. I was at this game, an absolute disgrace, to be honest with you, because if you just seen the highlights and listened to Stephen Bradley's comments, you'd be saying, "What the hell is he on about?" Because Bradley said they could have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time. The highlights wouldn't give you that impression at all, but he was dead right, to be honest with you. I vlogged the game, and there's better highlights genuinely in the vlog than there is of the actual the highlights itself. I don't understand why they can't get some of those. Like, you've seen some of the chances, didn't you, that Shamrock Rovers missed in that first half? I think it was McNulty with the first opportunity, which he spurns, which would have made it 2-0. There's a shot parry, but Turецka comes out and Darburns unable to keep it down and blazes it over the bar. That would have been 2-0, probably game over. In the first half, to be honest with you, Shamrock Rovers opened up Bows like a sieve, to be honest with you. They're getting in behind the midfield and at the back line very, very easily. But Tierney equalised at 24 with a good finish. He was very good for Bows. I thought he was probably the best individual on the pitch, to be honest with you. Excellent player, but really good performance. Dale Rooney does hit the post in a good spell for Bows. They had a spell for about 15 minutes where they're better side, where they scored. Rooney hits the post with a good effort. Sean Hoare also had a chance which just glanced wide for Shamrock Rovers, but into the second half, and it started off a bit of a lull, to be honest with you, Sean. But Rovers were still kind of the better team. They made a few subs later on where Kenny came back from injury, came on the pitch, Mandrew, etc., etc. Kenny had a couple of chances, one flash just wide. But the red card for Lee Grace, which was a second yellow, put Rovers under a bit of pressure. That said, Bowes, didn't really throw the kitchen sink at them, and Piszczek's goal in 84 minutes does come out of nowhere. Flores does well, actually, in the left. Brilliant cross into the box, actually. It's a brilliant cross. Piszczek headers it, and there's not much from that that Poles can do. It looks a bit weird, but he's so close. There's a lot of power that Piszczek misses that. It's a bad miss. But even after that, Tereska forced a good save from Kenny in the game, and Bowes get a massive, massive 3 points. A game that Shamrock Rovers, if I'm honest with you, should be scratching their heads and saying how they didn't win the game, let alone lose. Bowes won't care because it's a massive win. And coupled with the results elsewhere that we obviously get into, the Drogheda result and Dundalk, it probably, any nerves of maybe getting dragged down into the bottom two are probably distinguished with this result, I think. It's a massive win for Bohemians. And as I said, it didn't matter how they played. Not saying they played bad, but they got away with a good few chances from Rovers in the game, as I said there before. It didn't really matter for Bowes, just get the 3 points, and they managed to do it.
I mean, form tends to go out, and I think with how the first half went, you could definitely say Rovers were the better team. But I mean, throughout the second half, and fair enough, the sending off changed that. But throughout the second half, I thought Bowes looked like the only team that were gonna really win. When Piszczek came on, I was really impressed with him. He really looked like he was fighting for his place in that Bowes team. Showed a lot of energy. Like even before he got the goal, he showed a lot of energy. He was chasing the Rovers back four, putting it under immense pressure. And
the second yellow from Grace was actually a foul on him as well. So,
but he really if there was any player who deserved to get the second goal, I thought it was him, considering Tierney had already scored in the game. But it does. I agree with you. I think this result probably puts Bowes just like out of sight in the relegation battle. So the two loud sides are going to be fighting for the playoff spot, really. So it's two good results, to be fair, for Bowes. I mean, if you couple it with the last draw against Shelbourne, it's interesting now for Bowes to see whether they'll kick on for the rest of the season and string a few results together, or whether they'll have figured they've done enough and just sort of look towards next season again. A lot of questions still hanging over this Bowes team, I think, as far as is the management team in the right place? Do they still want Pat Fenlon there and stuff like that? I mean, I suppose to take the positives on the day, it probably does lift them away from the relegation fight.
From Shamrock Rovers' point of view, I mean, that's it. There's no title for them this season, absolutely. But they have a fight to get into Europe, because that Europa League coming up as well, Europa League, Conference League coming up as well. You can see focus there. And I don't know what's wrong with them this season, because I know they had a lot of injuries, etc. But they have won 4 league titles in a row, and they're not in the title race when the race, the points total is very low. They're kind of well off it. It's a big drop off, isn't it, when you consider 4 league titles in a row? Maybe that percentage of hunger, subconscious hunger, has dissipated a little bit. Maybe people think that players think or feel or know, maybe, we don't know, that Bradley's going at the end of the season. Maybe, we don't know. Maybe he's told some of the senior players. We don't know. There's something missing there, I think, in that regard too. And as I said, but with some of the chances they did miss in the first half, you can't afford to miss chances like that and expect to go on and win a game, to be fair.
No, you can't. And I'd agree. I think it's Rovers out of the title race entirely. At this point, the gap is simply too massive. And I mean, they've got games against Shelbourne and Derry. I mean, I would favour them to lose those. The European campaign is interesting because Bradley has done it before, that he prioritised getting into Europe next season over the campaign. But it's different this time because they're not going for Champions League this time. Rovers can actually qualify from the league stage yeah, get into the round of 32 at least. You know, they've got. I mean, obviously they got a really nice glamour tie against Chelsea in October. I hope they. I mean, they're not going to win that game, but I hope they give a good account of themselves in that game. You know, Chelsea could be in disarray. You don't know what Chelsea could be like. They could be in disarray by that time. But they've also got Larne and TNS and Boris Banja. Those are three games I think they can win. And they've also got Applewell at home. I think they could get a draw there. You know, you get 3 wins. You get 3 wins here, like, you know, that could be you through. Like, you know, you only have to finish. There's 36 teams, and you have to finish ahead of 12 of them. Right, and there's 2 pots below Rovers of 6 teams. So you have to figure that Rovers are at least better than 12 of the other teams in this competition.
Yeah.
So I really hope they do, for their sake, and especially because, I mean, look, it would net them a lot of money if they did, but that would mean missing out on Europe the next season. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Bradley does walk. I mean, like, you know, look, you're not going to sack him because he's won 4 league titles. You owe him at least the dignity of letting him walk away from the job on his own terms. I wouldn't be surprised if he does walk away. But
my sense is he'll probably go regardless of what that was my thought at the start of the season. We'll see at the end of the season, but yeah, fantastic result for Bows anyway, and you know, gives them something to look forward to the next couple of weeks as well. Richmond Park finished in partial leg 4. Drogheda United 1, Forrester penalty in 29, James Taylor penalty in 43, Mulroney in 45 and 50, and Mason Melia in the 90th minute. I was at this one as well. I had a busy week, Sean, to be fair, weekend football. But I thought this was, first of all, from Pat's point of view, I thought it was a really good performance from Pat's. And even though the penalty, obviously, from Forrester, it was obviously a red card from Luke Heaney, who, look, it was a red card. He just puts out his hand, stops on the lines of Breslin header. And wasn't much. It's a difficult one, though, I still think, from Luke Heaney. I've seen a few things online from his point of view, because in the moment, you're not. It's very hard to say, I'll let this in and not get sent off. You're not thinking logically at the moment. It's a reaction, isn't it? And you know, well, as soon as he's done, he's thinking, oh. But like, it's a natural reaction. It's very difficult just to let that in, isn't it?
I don't think Kevin Doherty would be too annoyed with him in that situation, because because like if I suppose if you're a player, like, you know, and you're not doing, if you're a defender especially, and you're not doing everything to stop your team from conceding goals, like, what are you actually doing, really? I suppose the unfortunate thing for him is that it really opened the game up, especially for Pats, because they were pretty much unstoppable after the sending off.
Mind you, I have to say, just before that, I smelled there was a goal coming. I think, Sean, Pats were generally on top. They started with good tempo. Some Pirro, if he could go at the end of it, could have nicked it and put them in front. But overall, Pats, before even the penalty, they were playing really well. El Bazzetti was causing unbelievable problems to Conor Kane at left wing back. He was just so direct. He's actually, Sean, I think he's a better player now than he was even, you know, when we seen him before. He obviously set up 2 of the goals for Mulroney as well, and you know, but Pats were playing at a good tempo before that. They had an early chance, very early chance, brilliantly cleared off the line by one of the players. Just got his body in the way. I think it was Brandon Kavanagh. So you could smell a goal was coming. Obviously, with the 10 men and with the kind of form Pats looked like they were in, you felt like Drogheda have no chance here. But to be fair to them, they done well. They managed to get an equaliser. Pirro was fouled after he rolled Gravosty, and Gravosty then clipped some when there was no need, to be honest. Joe Redmond was there, so it was a bit silly from Gravosty, and it gave them an avenue to get back into the game. But unfortunately for them, they equalised. They let Pats go in front immediately right in half time. El Bazzetti again, brilliant in the move, and great ball in. Mulroney finishes it. Then early in the second half, El Bazzetti again causing problems across into the box. Mulroney glancing into the net, and after that, Pats kind of were coasting a little bit, like, you know what I mean. At times when they kind of hit gear, you felt like they could open Drogheda up, but at other times they could have just passed the ball around, and Forrester was enjoying himself, you know, that kind of way, and etc. etc. And obviously, he scored at the end where Forrester plays Mason Melia through, but Melia does brilliantly, actually, doesn't he? He runs at the defender Webster, and it's a brilliant finish to give them a 4-1 victory. And I think from Drogheda's point of view, I wouldn't be too upset, because I thought Pats were in scintillating form. They did go down to 10, which made it very difficult anyway. You know, they didn't play well, Drogheda, but they did come up against a side that played really, really well, I have to say. And it's a big 3 points for Pats, because it just keeps them. It gives them probably, Sean, we talk about glimmers, but there's a glimmer of a chance that Pats get into the European race if they finish the season strongly. There is a glimmer, I
Yeah,
think, but they can't afford to drop too many points. As I said, a glimmer is a glimmer. You know what I mean? But I have to say,
there is a
they're
glimmer.
starting to motor under Kenny. Like they're starting to that wing play. I keep talking about
Mm,
it, but Mulroney and Eldazzetti are absolutely playing brilliant at the moment for Pats. Like,
yeah, yeah, and I mean now that the European stuff is out of the way,
mm.
you expect Pats to really hit form in the league. That's the only thing they really have to focus on. Try and get as far as you can. I mean, look, to be honest, like if they win their game at hand, they're 2 points behind Waterford. If they win their game at hand,
Mm.
so it's not out of the question entirely. I don't think that if they really hit the form that they're
I think they have
capable
to
of
play
hitting, that they
Waterford or
could.
Richmond, do they as well? I
They
think.
do, they do.
Mm.
Yes,
Although
yeah.
they usually
That's
lose to Waterford or Richmond, that's another thing.
it kind of is. Yeah, that could happen, but it's not totally unfeasible that Pats
No,
could. I mean, at least. I mean, they could even like play spoiler in the race for Europe. Like like there's no team that's going to enjoy playing them now. They could beat anyone on their day, really,
they're
if they're
better than
playing like
their.
this.
If we're honest about it, especially with Kenny there now, so they're better than their position suggests in the league, aren't they?
Yeah,
Be
yeah, they're
honest.
not they're not the seventh best team in
No,
the league at the moment. I don't think.
no, absolutely not. From Drogheda's point of view, though, at least they're still ninth in the table. They're a point above Dundalk, but Dundalk have a game in hand. That game in hand is against Pats on Thursday, which will be
Mm.
interesting as well,
Yeah,
actually. But the thing I will say about Drogheda, obviously disappointing performance. They got a bit of a lesson in the game, and then
mm.
I was going to say a helping hand, literally of the
Mm.
red card.
Yeah,
Really set Pats on their way as well. And but the good thing is for me, they still like they look more dangerous going forward. They've 37 goals. Okay, they've
mm.
conceded 54. I get that,
Yeah.
but I still think if you look at them now, it's looking
Mm.
like now it's a dead shootout between them and Dundalk for
Yeah.
9th and 10th. In all honesty, now it
Mm.
really is. But I'd still
Yeah.
rather the team that's more likely to score goals than the team that maybe is more likely to keep clean sheets as such. Do you know what I mean? Drogheda could go and get beat 4-1 by Pats and
Mm.
win next week. Whereas Drogheda or with Dundalk, you feel
Yeah.
like, it's harder for them to win games, I feel. That's the way I see
Mm.
both teams. And Drogheda have been doing quite well anyway.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, it's a nice distraction for Drogheda really to have the cup, and I mean, it's a tie they can win at home. Athlone won't be easy. It could probably be. You never know. That could be the playoff final. Actually, Drogheda versus Athlone could very well end up being the playoff final. So, might see that. Interesting statistic is that for the past 3 years now, cup semi-finalist has gone on to lose the playoff final. So maybe that's something. Maybe they want to lose that game, so they pass the bad luck on that loan. But I don't think normally what you'd say is because John Daly managed Pats up until like the middle of this season, really that he'd know the players. He'd maybe know the players better than Kenny would. But I think Kenny has brought in so many of his own players in his own style
Mm,
that John Daly probably won't be much help at all to Dundalk in that sense.
mm,
And especially if they go behind in that game, which is very likely, then they're not gonna be able to bring the game back.
mm.
So yeah, it's definitely. I still think even with the result on Sunday, Drogheda are in a far better position than Dundalk, and I would favour them far more to go into the playoff than Dundalk at this moment.
So sorry, guys, we just had a few minutes there left, and for some reason it failed to record. Literally only a couple of minutes though, so I just thought I'd end it here. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't before. Let us know what you think in the comments about any of the games at the weekend. And once again, thanks for watching. Thank you.